This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For our full disclosure, visit nc-midwifery.com.
Oh yeah, start your conversation so it sounds natural.
Angie, you're looking so rectangular today. No, it's
yeah.
So today we're talking about the monitors as we go into our podcast.
Like all of Keith's stuff, like the 8 trillion buttons that when he tries to explain them to me, it makes my mind.
I hid the wires. The wires are hidden.
They are hidden. I can't see all the spaghetti happening.
Yeah, I actually had to put a clip in the last podcast and actually share it. Here we go. Welcome back to another episode of More About Birth here with our hosts, Shannon Bennett and Angie Hansen. Yep, chocolate right now.
I already ate half my Lily's chocolate.
We have enough chocolate here today
Hi.
to last for 4 weeks.
Hey, Angie.
Hi.
I'm going to let you introduce our special guest today.
All right. Woohoo.
Super excited. Hannah's here today.
Yes, we're super excited to have Hannah McKay with us today. And we actually did Hannah's last 2 births together, all 3 of us.
Mm-hmm. And her husband.
And he was there too, yeah.
Mom and kids.
And
the important
and the
people.
kids.
No. Yeah, so we go way, way back.
Yeah, how far back, actually? If we count all the way back to the beginning of your first pregnancy that we helped you with, how many years has that been?
I think it was, well, Titus was born 2018.
So
Before that.
No,
About
I say almost 4
4
years.
years? Yeah.
I came partway through my pregnancy too because we were coming
3.5
from
years.
Yeah.
Seattle. And
Yes. And Hannah is actually a podcaster herself. She has a
Mhm.
lovely podcast called the SelfCare Sessions. And they're just lovely. She has this beautiful,
They're lovely.
soothing voice, and it's easy to listen to. And
We
you
were just
feel-
talking about that, honestly, before you even got here, how if you really need to chill, just listen to Hannah's voice.
I know she could do like the self like the mediated meditation.
Like the
you know,
people-
where you-
It's
yeah.
like the
Well-
people that read scriptures or something.
Yes.
I'm
you know,
excited
to
because I
music.
have another techie in the room, right?
Techie.
yeah, no.
No.
Well, at least, okay, I knew that, but at least I can say this about you, that at least you're actually podcasting and you took the initiative, and that makes me feel good because
Woo!
that's been my heart. My passion is to get these gals on a podcast. So that's cool. I'm excited.
Ready.
I enjoy it.
So she's our resident self-care expert. And we were actually not only impressed with her podcast, but really impressed with her postpartum setup after her babies. And especially this last one, it was just so fun.
We've discussed it many times, honestly, Hannah.
To
I
see.
kind of went overboard, but
No,
it was wonderful.
awesome.
Like, she was set up to stay in bed and relax
Oh, yeah.
and nurse her baby. She had
tea.
a little like bar counter set up in her room with teas and a little refrigerator
Mini
with
fridge.
all kinds of snacks, healthy
it's pretty
chocolate
awesome.
brands that I haven't
snack
even heard
tray
of.
next to the bed.
So we were super, super impressed. So
That's
we're gonna talk to her today about some of her self-care tips.
In fact, you've even written a book that's an ebook that's available where?
On my website, it's just soulmindbodyselfcare.com. And I finished the ebook like right before Davey was born. So that was my
Woo.
last.
Woohoo!
That's awesome. And that is called Practicing Self-Care with Littles.
With littles.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's a super easy read. Like it's not.
You can do it with littles.
Yes. Yeah.
How
Because I
many-
wrote it with littles.
How many
all
littles
around
do
me.
you have?
I have 4.
And
which
ages?
Sounds crazy. I have an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and then a 5-month-old. So, and I thought he was
Very
6 months the other
cool.
day, and that made me feel better that I realized Matt was like, "No, he's a 5-month-old," and I was like, "Good. That means I'm only 5 months postpartum."
Angie and I decided today that the more kids you have, the more lower center of gravity you need to have as a mom. Right? Didn't we agree on that
Which
today?
That was
means-
Keith's idea. Yeah.
Interpret that.
Yeah.
Which means
Interpret that.
No, come on. I think there's some wisdom in that, don't you think?
No.
If I could wrap my head around that, I'll run with it because it sounds really good.
Well, it feels better for us shorter leg people, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
brother.
amen to that. Nobody can keep up with Shannon and her height. So
So, yeah, I know.
I'm only 5'6". Well,
Well,
5'7".
That's
Yeah.
not.
And how many feet are legs?
What?
Yeah. How
5'3".
I'm 5'4".
There you
See, I'm
go.
the
She's
shortest.
shorties.
I'm the punkiest here. So
Shorties.
Okay,
There's one nice thing
anyways.
about being taller. You can gain more weight without it showing.
that
I feel
was exactly
really
the
bad
point.
for these 4'11" people that gain 20 pounds
Yeah.
because
How did
It
we
has
go
nowhere to
from
go.
lower center of gravity to weight now?
That's just what comes to mind
Keith
when
brought
I
it
think
up.
of lower center.
Keith brought it up.
Okay, I was not
Exactly.
going to focus on weight in this podcast.
Okay. Anyways, back to the
Anywho.
topic. Yeah. So, Shannon, what do you got for us?
well, I want to know, Hannah, what in the world made you want to start a podcast? I mean, where did this like idea brew and come from? Were you like in the shower one day and went, I got something to say, or how did this happen?
Well, it was close because I've been blogging. I had started thinking about an ebook. I had been on social media, and then one day we were on a road trip, and I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about how to reach your target audience. Like, where are they?
Mhm.
And I realized my moms don't have a whole lot of time to be reading blog posts.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of them are in social media, but it's like very specific. I've narrowed it down to like pretty much Instagram. They're on Instagram,
Yeah.
and not many other places. And so I was like, well, a podcast. I wrote it down, started thinking about it, and then that was in January. And then last June, I was like, I'm just gonna
do it.
So I just
So-
recorded it and posted it, and it turned out to be like my favorite thing to do.
Wow. So was it like on an iPhone or something?
Yeah, I
Wow.
used the Anchor app.
Okay.
And I would just like jot like bullet points and then talk.
She's going
And
to
I'm
tell
like,
all her secrets.
oh.
I love it. I love it.
There's not a lot of secrets.
We,
Yeah.
we need to
I
do
just
that.
talk too much.
They actually make and I need to do some research into it. But they make a teleprompter app too now for your smartphone, so you can put your notes in there and you're looking at it anyway, right? So you could have a teleprompter,
So
and
it's
they
like
don't know.
recording you
could even-
while you see your prompts.
Yeah, so it's
Oh,
following your
yeah.
voice, or you can set a time, and it'll actually scroll down as you're doing your podcast. A lot of people use that on the teleprompter, but they also use them for audio podcasts too, just so they can have their notes in front of them.
Oh, yeah, because usually it's like my little scribbles. And I try to do one take because I can't stand the editing part of it. I'm just like,
Well, and it's more raw anyways, and that's what people
Yeah.
are drawn to.
Yeah, I
the
think
real
so.
stuff. Like on
Mhm.
social media, when all you see is everybody's perfect house and perfectly
Yeah.
clean dressed children and perfect meals. That is not real life. We want to know
Yeah.
nitty gritty.
yeah.
That's why
And-
people are hooked on drama, because they have to go to the drama channel or to real
Yeah.
life.
It's like
stuff.
Reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Should start a new show.
Extreme
Reality
podcasting.
Yeah.
So one of the things I love the most about thinking about you doing a podcast is the secret that she shared with us. So you want to tell him how and where you do these podcasts?
Oh, well,
How do you pull this off with all these children?
I have a very special closet. And it is a pretty big closet.
I think this is going to be my favorite. This is going to be my favorite part.
And usually I'm like either in my sweats or I'm in my pajamas. And
I love it.
one time I was in my bed, just, like, I don't know, a thought strikes and I'm inspired.
And you
I'll
pull
just-
out your phone and
because
just do
the
it?
babies are sleeping or, it's quiet because
Artistry at
if
its
I
finest.
have 15 minutes and I'm like, I'm going to do it. And sometimes I would do several in a row because
You just had
I
a lot
had
to
the
say.
time. Yeah.
Hey, you gotta strike
That
while
too.
the inspiration's hot when you're
Angie,
in
we
a
need to
creative
totally
process.
change up what we're doing.
Closet
I've
pajamas.
been saying that.
We'll
for a
start on
while.
our road trip.
Yeah,
Let's podcast on our road trip.
There you go.
Got it.
better yet.
That means
in our
you'll
pajamas.
actually have to be able to hook up your phones to your little microphones.
Oh my word, he's gonna get techie. Stop it.
Actually, the
What?
plain iPhone speaker, like just down here, works better than like earbuds or I get like a weird feedback.
You get a weird thing.
Yeah.
Well, he bought me some really techie things.
My
so
chair's
I'll have to
squeaking
show it
today,
to
man.
you.
It's horrible.
You're making all kinds of noise. Hold still.
Sorry, I'm gonna hold still.
So, when did you first realize, hey, self-care is really important and I've got to be serious about it?
Well, it's like a slow unfolding. That's
Mhm.
how I would describe it because when my first was about 16 months old, that's when it started to hit me. It was like, I've got to start doing, like, it's not just the baby that I need to be taking care of. I need to be taking care of myself. And I should have been doing it all along. But once you become a mom, like, a lot
There's
of things
time.
come into focus.
Yeah.
Well, I had just come through like college and my master's and then getting married and then having a baby. And so that was when it first hit me. And then having my second, started driving the point home because I hit a real low spot with my second, after my second. And then after my third was when it just started sinking in. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be like these big occasional things. It can be, you know, daily, consistent, small, you know, whatever.
So that was one of the things I was going to ask you. And we're on the topic. So share with us some things we can do that are small, intentional, low cost, that can be snuck in while the kids are asleep or
I'm
during the day. Share away.
I'm a pro at because I think sometimes we complicate the idea of self-care and what that has to look like.
Like a pedicure or a girl's weekend.
Or hours alone or whatever that is. And I love to look at little things like sipping a warm drink or just the process of making it and then sipping it, or very quick skincare. Makeup is one of the ways that I love to do that. I love yoga, so I'll do like a really quick yoga flow.
And she loves her chocolate.
Yes, chocolate. I keep it in the fridge.
And I don't know where she finds these chocolates, but I'm telling you what, guys, good stuff.
Is it Lily's?
It's
Are you
not
like
No,
Lily's?
it's healthy. It's like healthy sweeteners and like exotic gourmet ingredients.
You
and-
gotta-
Like she just brought us some today. Coconut, dates inside, chocolate covered goodness.
And I think like how you eat, how you nourish yourself is self-care.
I'm taking real good
I know.
care.
Yeah,
of
like,
myself.
I think that's important, especially for moms.
I
You're
don't know.
busy, you're like childbearing, you're child rearing, you're nursing, you're pregnant, whatever. Like, we need that. And I think we skip over those
The little
everyday things. Yeah. And we either rush past them and eat, you know, the leftovers on the kids' plates or whatever it may be.
So are you talking about maybe like after the kids have eaten and gone off to play that you fix a nice plate and sit down and eat it leisurely like an adult instead of chewing it on the fly as you refill the kids' second helping?
I try to do that. I mean, it's not always possible, but I make a big deal about breakfast and I do it all together with the kids. And I think that's another thing that I realized is I can practice self-care with my kids there too.
Give me some examples.
Well, that's one of them. Like saying, okay, we're going to have a meal together. We're going to sit. I'm going to chew my food. I'm not going to be rushing here and there, you know.
So you actually set the table
Yes.
and sit down
we
with
do
your
that
kids?
almost every morning.
Wow.
Like a big, that's our big
Wow.
meal. And then it, you know, lighting a candle, turning on some music, getting out for a walk.
Like that idea.
That's another way I practice self-care with the kids is I'll take my coffee and strap the baby on and take the kids and just go for a walk. And then they're happy. I can think, sip my coffee.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of I don't know.
So you like to spend a lot of time outside. Besides walking, do you have like backyard rituals that you do that are self-care for you?
I love laying out in the sun.
I was just gonna say we have to tell on Hannah
I
because
got-
she's like the resident
I got
sun
a lounger,
goddess.
like an adult, like
The sun
the one
goddess.
that sits up and you can lay, you know, you can
Like a
adjust the levels.
recliner? Yeah.
Yes, but it lays flat and has a cushion. It looks like a spa.
She's like home.
And I'm like, no one touches
staycation
this.
every
So I want
day.
one of those for my birthday.
Okay.
I love it because it's usually like, seriously, like Davey doesn't like me to set him down. So I'll get him to sleep. If he's not sleeping on me, he sleeps for about 20 minutes. And so I'll be like 10 minutes each side, you know, just like,
Woo!
but it's vitamin D. And
Yeah.
so I do that. I'll do my yoga outside. I'll do like a quick HIIT workout outside. I love to walk barefoot outside, grounding. I think that's really,
So the closest I ever got to yoga outside was yogurt outside. Does that count?
that would count. You can eat your yogurt outside. That's self-care.
So I tried to stop and meditate a little bit and stretch, but it didn't work.
See, I feel like we get so busy, especially lately. Like Angie and I have been so busy with so many births and postpartum home visits and the paperwork and her getting her application in.
Yeah.
So give us some ideas. In our busyness, what would you tell us?
You could even set a timer, like set a reminder on your phone, even just like taking a couple of deep breaths. I feel like that's, there's so many things that don't cost a lot of money, don't take a lot of time. Grab your piece of chocolate, drink a glass of water. Like, what could you do I like to think in like 10-minute increments, 5 minutes, even like 30 seconds. What can I do in 30 seconds?
So when I was ready to lose it when the kids were little, I would take a 15-minute timeout. I'd be like, get them doing whatever they can do for 15 minutes without me. And I had a stack of magazines up in my bedroom on the nightstand. And I would go in my bedroom, shut the door, and just look at a magazine for 15 minutes. And I cannot even tell you how much better I felt when I was done.
Yeah.
Little
that's
checkout.
perfect.
Little checkout.
Yeah, I had a mentor at one point that they hired at the sales job I had, and he said to me, he goes, Keith, where's a happy place? And so I told him, and he goes, before you start your day, why don't you come in just 5 minutes early, keep the lights off in your office, and just stop and close your eyes and think of that happy place. And it happened to be that spot I found at Mount Evans in Colorado where I could sit by the brook and just enjoy the fresh air, the shade, because it was always summer when I went there. And that was life-changing for me for the days. So that's probably what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, as a mom, you could create your own little spot, kind of like that. Like, even if it's just a chair or, your cozy place.
One
Like-
of our moms,
Like a waterfall out back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now staycation. This is like,
I
Yeah,
want a waterfall.
staycation.
Yeah.
So I have a question that is kind of a foundational
raising
thing.
your hand?
Well, I am because
Yeah.
I
You're
haven't
raising your
been able to
hand.
fit it in yet, and it was kind of foundational. So I had to make it physically, visually known.
Oh, my bro. You and your words. Okay.
So I want to ask you, Hannah. I think there's a lot of our moms, at least in our audience, who are very concerned about being a selfless mom, about being there for their
servant of all.
home and their husbands and their kids, and they hear self-care and it has a certain ring to it, and maybe
Like, am I being
it
selfish?
almost sounds selfish. And so how do you
By taking
respond
care
to
of me?
people who genuinely want to not be selfish and care about their families and the people around them? What would you say to them? How does this idea fit into that mindset?
yeah, no, it's a good question, because I think the term has been kind of overused, or it's been used in a way that it just, I search for a different term. Like, how can I say self-care without saying self-care? And that's why
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
get it.
times I'll say caring for yourself, but that's kind of the long way around the barn. So
Rejuvenating
yes,
yourself?
because it does kind of conjure up like hours alone at the, very expensive spa or whatever. But
Sounds
I think, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I think if I found in my motherhood and in every other aspect of my life, if I'm filling my cup, then I'm a better person. I'm better able to pour into other people.
Mhm.
And if I'm not doing that, I can tell, because I'll get short-tempered. I'll get frustrated very easily.
So I think of something I noticed about you right away after I met you is that you were very intentional about having help if you needed it. You weren't afraid to ask for help.
I wasn't
from your
always that
husband.
way.
No.
That was a learning. Yeah.
Because I know you actually put into your budget having someone come in and just be with the kids for a couple hours a week.
Yeah. 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 We
So-
have good babysitters. We do a date night every week. Because I think self-care translates down into your marriage. I mean,
Mhm.
how I feel about myself, my energy level, my mental capacity is all increased by caring for myself. And so, yeah, having those babysitters, something I added with Davey, my fourth, was a house cleaner, which was really hard for me, because I'm one of the weird ones, and I love to clean, but I don't love cleaning when all the kids are hanging on top of me or like going behind me, and
Right.
that's like it's kind of a zen place for me when I'm cleaning. I'm like righting the wrongs, but then just chaos.
Can you run some of that off on me, please?
I relate to that.
But I had to hire someone because I was like, I can't do this. I just need like a baseline, and then I can, keep up from there.
So the other thing I noticed about you right away is that you really have kind of a minimalistic lifestyle. You don't like clutter. You don't seem to be a keeper of all parts and pieces of everything. And I feel like for me, the more clutter I get, the harder it is to take time for myself, because there's always something that needs done, something that needs picked up, something that needs cleaned up, something that needs sorted.
Yeah. And when you're the mom, you take care of everyone's things. Like my husband's really good at taking care of his stuff, but the kids, it's like you're managing their things too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I become more like that. Like after I had my second was when I really got into like the more minimalist approach. And when I say that, it's like basically I have what I love and what I need. And there's no like magic number. It's just this is what I love and what I need. Yeah. And what can I take care of? Like what's the capacity I have? Because
exactly.
I just went through the kids' clothes today and it was like, I can't take, they can't take care of it all. I can't take care of it all. And we do like capsule wardrobes for them. And that's me. Because
capsule wardrobes.
Tell us about capsule wardrobes.
Like they have stuff that basically can mix and match. And they have a certain set amount. I mean, it's not like a magic number. It's just, okay, I see that they need like 3 or 4 pants, 3 or 4 shorts, a couple dresses for my daughter. And they gravitate towards the same items anyways. And so I realized that. I was like, they don't need 50 options because they get overwhelmed just like I do.
Yeah.
So
and you can go a long time without doing laundry that way.
Yes.
And then by the time you do laundry, it's like a 2-day process.
Or
because everything in the house is dirty.
I do like a load a day usually because I'm more like the personality, like I can't save it, so I'll do a load a day. But it it makes everything lighter.
Angie and I laughed because when we were at your last birth, we're leaving and we're looking around going, she goes, my house wouldn't look this together even if it was moving day.
Like the day we were selling it. That was so funny because I forget what it was at your birth, but we needed like a cleaning rag for some thing.
Yeah.
I forget what it was for, but we needed a little extra something. And so we sent your husband to go get it, and he comes back and he's like, guys, there's nothing.
She doesn't save anything.
No, she doesn't save anything that doesn't have a purpose.
You don't have that drawer under the washer that's got the old towels. There you go.
I just cleaned it out today.
There you go.
No, I was laughing because I'm like, well, I suppose that's one benefit to having a house like mine. You need an extra piece of something. All you have to do is go
Look
about
down.
2 feet and you're going to find something that is repurposable. So, anyways, I thought that was great.
That's amazing. I wanted to ask you, do you keep a calendar? Is this like all penciled out? Like or is this just now? Because it sounds like it's intentional that you have to, like you told us, maybe we should set an alarm to take a break. Do you have timers and alarms and all that stuff? Or is it just part of your lifestyle now?
I don't. I mean, I put stuff into calendars, but it's like, doctor appointment or whatever. I don't like.
So do you just jump on the opportunity if you see it? Yeah. Are you looking for the opportunity?
Usually, like as far as my minimalist approach and like laundry and stuff like that, my thing that I always say is 1 load, 1 space. So, and I haven't been really good at this so far postpartum with the 4th, going from 3 to 4 was like, I thought I had everything together. A little bit more. But it's basically like, okay, today I'm going to clean 1 bathroom and I'm going to do 1 load of laundry. And I just cycle through the house like that. And, or I'm going to go through that drawer and get rid of what doesn't belong there. Like, and that's just kind of what I don't put a lot of pressure on
What
myself.
was the very first thing you remember ever doing to take care of yourself?
Well, it was with my first, about 16 months postpartum. Yeah, too many peas. I felt physically like I was falling apart. Like I was just losing hair, losing sleep, like just I felt like I was
She was losing it.
I was going crazy. Like I remember telling Matt, like, I feel like I'm going insane. But if you looked at me, you know, like, what's wrong? You look fine. And
we look perfectly together.
So I went to the naturopath. That was kind of my first, I started big because I was like, I gotta get a hold of the physical, you know, aspect of what's going on here. Because a lot of times if your physical body is in pain or you're struggling, it's really hard to make, you know, like, oh, sip your warm drink isn't gonna.
Yes, when you're like, I'm
Drink
gonna
that
lose it
glass of
and you're
water.
gonna have to haul me out of here pretty soon.
I know. So I had to, you know, like go and that was kind of the beginning of my like physical health journey. But that's the first thing I remember doing. And then after my daughter, my second, it was yoga is what I picked up. And it's more like just the stretching and what I love is combining movement with your breath, because I tend to hold my breath. Like if I'm stressed out, and I've done that my whole life, I'll be like sitting there and realize like, I don't think I've taken a breath
in your shoulders
like
and
60
not breathing.
seconds. Yeah.
You must have good lung capacity.
I don't know. I'm like, why can't I breathe? And so yoga just kind of reminds me like, just marry them back together. You're
That's
okay. You know,
You look like you had a pressing question.
Oh, you know, I'm really impressed with the fact that you took the time to go see a naturopath. And I guess I just wanted to pause on that for a minute, because I feel like so many of our mamas balk at that step because of the financial piece. And I guess from my perspective, I just have seen how drastically important that is, because like you say, if you're physically or mentally not there,
doesn't matter what you do.
Nothing else is gonna. So for me, I'm like, take out a loan, go into debt, like whatever you have to do.
You heard it here on. You heard it here on more.
I'm just saying, because people are like,
Didn't
I
we
can't
just
afford
have
it.
a finance conversation the other day?
Yeah, but this is more important, because if you're not mentally with it, you won't be able to keep a budget.
Yeah.
Well, and I think what you're saying is that, you know, we'll go out and spend money on a vacation and things like that. But
or go to the movies.
This whole podcast, in my opinion, is about, you have to have those moments and you have to have an investment in yourself.
That's it. We're getting a waterfall in the backyard.
Yeah, we're getting a waterfall in the backyard.
Ask you, because that's my perspective. But from your perspective, if a mama was falling apart at the seams and she came to you and you were like, I can tell this person needs to see a doctor, but they're like, I just can't spend that much money on testing or whatever, what would you tell them? Because I know what I would tell them.
I would pretty much tell them what you said, because I think we would go to every length to help our child. If our child was sick or needed,
sell the house or whatever. Yeah.
There's something we can't fix physically and they're in pain or they're just day after day. We would go to any length. And so I'm with you.
Such a good point.
I'm like, the mom is the heart of the home.
I think it all boils down to self-worth. We don't think we're worth it.
No. Well, another thing too, I think from a guy's perspective, you get so used to mom, you know, your wife doing all that stuff, and just, you know, you seem to be happy throwing yourself at that stuff. And then over the years, I've realized that you're burning yourself out, and someone has to stop you. If it's the husband or the mom or your doctor or Angie saying right now, you got to stop and invest in yourself. I wouldn't go for years. And I finally went to Dr. Chris down and I had a friend that was hammering me for years going. It was life-changing because I didn't realize that my body was having the issues.
You didn't know he was such a mess.
Yeah, it was escalating. And so I am a happier human now that I'm on the vitamins and stuff, and I have thyroid, and, you know, all those issues are being dealt with.
Which makes me think of a question for you. How has this changed your parenting? By taking better care of yourself.
When I'm taking care of myself consistently, like my mental capacity increases and my energy level and my ability to respond to 3-year-old tantrums that are currently like
the thing, huh?
Yeah, can totally derail everything. It's just like, why is that?
What about your relationship with your husband? Same thing? I mean,
I feel better about myself, so more confident, but then I also feel more myself, like more, not my old self, because that old self is constantly being remade as you become a mom each time, but like more myself, who I am deep inside, and like I have the time to be present, the mental capacity to be present, and pour into us and not just feel resentful, like spent all day, you know, with this kid and this kid and this kid, and I don't have time for myself. And
then your husband needs attention and deserves it.
Yes.
But you have nothing left.
Yeah.
Nothing left. And they know that they're getting leftovers.
Is this a confession?
It's
Yes,
hard.
it is.
It's
As a
hard.
matter of fact.
I feel like every time we've had a kid too, it's like going back to the drawing board. Okay,
It
how
is.
do we?
Right.
And we're kind of still in the midst
It
of that
is.
right now, like 5 months in, and it's like
When your youngest one is 5 years old, life drastically changes.
Oh, great, 4 more years.
And the other thing,
I'm sorry.
here's the other thing, looking back, right, for
Yeah.
us, Shannon and I looking back, you know, you have to embrace the change, which I heard you say earlier, you know, that I can't be my old self. I'm not that 29-year-old guy. I'm not as big a risk taker. I'm more cautious. And I think it's only been maybe the last 5 or 6 years that I'm starting to embrace that. And I think as moms, if you have more and more kids, you have to embrace that more. What are you laughing at?
I'm just thinking about you embracing your seniorhood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Thank you. So Angie, can you help us here?
Well, let's just wrap this up here. I think to summarize.
To summarize.
What I love about what you're saying is that not only do you not have to spend a fortune to harness, you know, the goodness of this self-care thing, but you also don't have to carve out a whole bunch of extra time, because I think every single one of us is like,
We don't
that
have
sounds
any.
nice, but it's just, I'm already behind on everything. There's no time for it. But
Yeah.
I like what you're saying about if you can just actually be mindful about the things you're already doing, it's going to refresh you. And so like you're saying, like, even if it's just while you're drinking a cup of coffee or tea, do it mindfully. Take a deep breath, enjoy the flavor, enjoy what it is, you know, and that's
You're
going to be
good
a
at
little
that.
10-minute retreat.
Make a really
Yeah.
good cup of coffee. That's one thing I do have I have a free, like, not an ebook, but the word just escaped me, with like all my favorite
Like a
recipes
download?
for warm drinks. Cause that's kind of one of my things.
Warm drinks.
Yeah.
So your podcast, you talk about all of this. We haven't been able to listen to all of them yet.
Yeah.
I want to listen now.
I know.
Yeah.
I might become
I'm
a
gonna
healthier
listen to some on the
human.
way home.
So
No, you're exactly right. I think it is like adding more intentionality, and it may be adding in things you've never done before, but it could literally be 2 minutes. Like that's my
Yeah, that's
skincare
wonderful.
routine is 2 minutes, or makeup. You
Well,
know,
I think
or-
about even
It's
today, I
wonderful.
had to go do a home visit over in Pasco, and then I needed to stop at Yolks and grab something to make a pasta salad for tomorrow. And I'm there, and I look at all the plants outside, and I'm thinking, I really want to go look through all those plants and see if there's anything that I want. And I'm like, I don't really have time. And then I went, nope, I'm taking the time. So I spent just 15 minutes looking through the flowers and the plants, picked out a few, and I couldn't believe how much calmer and more relaxed I was.
Yeah.
A dumb little thing like that, because I was just wound up all morning. So
Yeah. Well, what I repeat over and over is a little goes a long way. Like that's just kind of my motto. Like
smaller snippets, more
Yes.
often.
Yeah, I think that creates a greater impact. Kind of the same way with like working out or anything
It's
really.
more
If you're
sustainable,
yeah,
for sure.
it's sustainable, and then if it's consistent, like you're gonna reap the benefits versus like
Mhm.
doing this 4-hour thing once every few
Right.
months. And yeah.
Mm.
Was there
I love that.
anything else that's really on your heart that you want to share that we haven't covered?
Covered a lot.
Yeah.
how do we hear your podcast?
This is-
Yeah,
been
I was
really
just gonna say,
good.
how do we find you on the internet?
It's
So
my
we can
podcast
stalk
is
you.
everywhere where podcasts are.
Everywhere
so
where podcasts live.
wherever they are. But yeah, I don't know where that is, but I just send it out into the
Podcast world.
yeah. No, on Apple iTunes and Spotify, and I'm kind of on a break right now because that's part of my self-care right now, is like, as much as I love doing
Mhm.
everything with soul, mind, body self-care, it just, my brain capacity was just a
So you just had a baby.
So
Yeah,
what would be the
so-
best link to put on the screen right now, just so people could find you? What would they search under, or is there a title, or what's your podcast called exactly?
We actually have a link that you sent us.
Okay. Yeah, it's the
use
SelfCare
that?
Sessions is the podcast, but
SelfCare Sessions.
if you
cool.
go to my website, it's just soulmindbodyselfcare.com.
Okay.
That has I have tabs at the top that have like my ebook and
Awesome.
Oh, cool.
podcast and my blog, and
We'll get that up.
there's so much on the blog. I haven't.
This has been
been
really
able to write it.
good. We
This is
should have
fun,
done this
Hannah.
sooner.
Yeah, this is
This
awesome.
is a lot of fun.
It's cool to actually have someone else that's talking about podcasts, and it sounds like it's enriched you to.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like you get a chance to
Mhm.
share your heart? You get to download more information to people that you just don't feel like you would have time to spend one-on-one time through your podcast? Is that fulfilling to you? Or?
Oh yeah, yeah, and it feels effortless to me, which I was really surprised at
Wow.
because I read an
That's
ebook.
what we need.
I read an ebook on how to start a podcast, and I was like, oh my gosh! I read it thankfully when I was about halfway through my first season on the podcast. I'm so glad I didn't read this because I never would have started one. It was
Wow.
like,
Yeah,
you have to
overwhelming.
do this and
Was it
this, and you have to get
technical?
this and that. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sitting in my closet talking to my
In our
That's
iPhone.
jammies with
wonderful.
their coffee.
But here's the deal. We teach back in the day of doing studio work. I would tell some of the artists that came in and go, all you need is a closet. You're going to have really good sounding audio,
Yeah.
and you can actually do some editing to it and make it sound even better. I think that's fascinating and awesome. I'm impressed that you did that. That's cool.
Season 3, we're changing it up.
Amen.
Okay.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thanks so much,
Yeah,
Hannah.
We
This
really
was fun.
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This
We
is
will
great.
see you guys next time when we talk about how to become a midwife and Angie's journey in getting there.
That ought to be fun.
Woo.
We'll see you then.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you so much, Hannah McKay and Angie and Shannon, for hosting this great podcast. If you'd like to know more about Birth Season 2, you can reach out at nc-midwifery.com and our podcast page. You can find us on YouTube, so subscribe, and all over audio podcast locations. So, see you next time. This podcast is intended for educational purposes only. For our full disclosure, visit us at nc-midwifery.com and our podcast page.